Hello there, and welcome to Pink Milk, your Star Wars podcast for us super fans and those normally forced to listen. However, today's not that day because ain't nobody forcing that gay Jedi to come and sit and talk to me. Or, at least I hope not. Drink up. And it's just me. Tommy is off there being busy watching the Book of Boba Fett again, I think. I don't know. Anyways, welcome to Pink Milk. I'm your host, Brian. Normally, my husband, Tom, is with me, but today's not that day because I'm about to sit with my friend Chase from After Dark. You know them from After Dark, from Queer Fears podcast, and their amazing, wonderful YouTube channel, That Gay Jedi. I have gotten to know Chase over this past year plus, I guess, with After Dark, but I've never been able to sit down and speak with them like I did here. And let me tell you, it was a really, really, really great conversation. I'm so excited for you to listen to that. But before you listen to it, I really would appreciate it if you would head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. If you listen to us on Spotify, leave us a review there. Honestly, we are growing. We are in between Star Wars projects right now. So, of course, listenership goes down a little bit during these times. So your votes and your words and your ratings really help us continue to grow even in between the new Star Wars times. And if you haven't already, we are so close to 550 subscriptions on YouTube. Go follow us over there if you aren't, and watch as that channel continues to grow, because I'm really working to get some new content specifically for YouTube and only YouTube there. So head over to Pink Milk Podcast on YouTube and check us out. You know what? Honestly, y'all don't want to hear from me, not without Tom and not without Chase, because just Brian is just boring. So I'm excited for you to listen to this here podcast with Chase, and I hope you like it because you get it not once, but get it twice, because we had such a good conversation. We're going to split this long talk up over 2 different podcast episodes. So this week, say hello to Chase. Next week, say hi to Chase again, and get ready to listen. I had a great time. All right, here you go. Well, welcome back, everyone, and welcome our friend Chase.
Hello.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It was weird saying your name without the BB in front of it, but I'm like, this is not After Dark. It's not appropriate right now. So you're just my friend Chase.
Oh, I love that. Well, BB or no BB, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Okay. I want to ask a question. So I've had little one-on-ones with Mark and Emma like this last year, and I love them because I feel like there was a lot of relationships established during that time. So I'm excited for that here, and I'm excited for our listeners and our friends of the show to get to know you in a way that we don't normally get to on After Dark, that you don't get to on That Gay Jedi, and all of those things. Because I think, it's great. It's good to know your host like that. So with that, who is Chase outside of That Gay Jedi, outside of Queer Fears, outside of Pink Milk? Who are you?
Oh boy. I am a child to my 2 parents, my mom and dad. I am a sibling of one of 4. So there's a lot of energy, a lot of personalities, and I am a partner to my partner Blake. I'm a dog dad to my dog Ahsoka, and she's so cute. I'm all those things, but I'm also just sort of like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like a person who's here trying to have a good time, trying to like connect with people and vibe. And, um, you know, a, I guess, very creative person in the sense of I just like to make things. And I used to be, I worked in theater my whole life, and recently kind of like falling out with theater, but in a fine way, in a way that it feels organic. But yeah, I like to make things. I like to like connect with people through things that I make and make things with other people. So I'd say that is like kind of who I am.
I love that. First of all, that's very, very beautiful. And you're 26, right?
I just turned 27.
27. Okay. I love 27. 25, 30, and 40 have been some of my favorite years all of my life. I love a zero.
Yeah.
So like I love to I think of my life as like a high-rise building. And at a zero, I have another decade to build a few more floors and get higher and higher. And anyway, so I love them. Like I love them. It's not a starting over because that's impossible.
Right.
And I think especially in queer culture, there's such a and as a gay man, I think possibly even more so because men are men, and there's a lot of ageism going on.
Oh yeah.
And like 30s and 40s, I almost think gay men are invisible. In your 20s, you're hot and wonderful. Then in your 50s, you could be a daddy. And then so you're hot again. But then once you hit 60, like you're done. So like, it's really like gay dudes have 2 decades where we're like king of the town. And that's it.
I get that.
Yeah. But I like to think of a high rise because you're building on everything that came before, but your view and your outlook on the world just gets better and better, and you see more. And I think it's wonderful. I love
that. I love that so much. I've always thought of it like, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I always think about it like chapters in a book. Like that's definitely like my vibe, where it's like, and like I know I'm very aware of like when a chapter is like ending, you know what I mean, and like a new one starting, but. More than that, I feel like each year is like its own volume. Each year, like, within the year, I have like all these chapters. But then, like, once I turn 27, I'm like, okay, it's a new book, and like I can see all the other like books on my shelf, and that's how I look at it. I love how everyone like has like a different way of looking at that. Isn't that so interesting? I love that.
Yeah, no, I love it because I think it speaks so much to who people are.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, totally.
Like I love that you said. At 27 is a great year because that was the year that Tom and I started dating.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was the talk about a new book. That was like a whole new book.
Yes.
But I think what I love that you just said was I asked who you were, and you were this person connected to all of these other things. And it's such an admirable trait. Because I've mentioned this song before personally of Your Cloud by Tori Amos off the Scarlet's Walk album. Everyone should go listen to it. But it was the album that got me out of a really bad relationship. Or that song got me out of a really bad relationship. It was very unhealthy with old Tom. And then I was like, oh, let me just find another Tom because I don't need to learn another name. And I did. But I am someone who really requires a lot of independence. And so there's this song that's about blue is his own, indigo always knew this. And I needed to find someone that was an indigo that understood that we could be 2 different people and be the same person at the same time. And I did not get it when I was 25, 27. I didn't understand that until I met Tom. But Tom is very much the same way. And I knew like early on that was what we were going to click. And so I think it's so amazing that at 27, you've already found this. Like, I think I've said this before, you're like wise beyond your years. I'm always so inspired by you. And I'm very, very grateful that we have become friends.
Thank you. I feel quite the same. You and Mark. I'm always just like, Uh, it's so interesting because it's like one of those things where, we'll talk about it right now, but like I watched the show for like so long, and then I was like on the show, and now I'm like a part of the show. And it's just so fun because after every single stream we do together, I feel like my cup is full. You know what I mean? And that's like a special thing to have that not a lot of people have like on a weekly basis. You know what I mean? It's like even on those like weeks where like, you know, we're all human and there's going to be weeks where we don't necessarily want to like get on and or like we don't feel like we have it in us. But the second I'm on, I'm like, oh, this is it. This is home. I feel good. This is like a recharge home base moment. So yeah, I feel quite the same.
Oh, I'm with you. And sometimes, like maybe our last Friday stream when we were talking about The Force Awakens, I sometimes feel personally like I'm too at home. And I realized, like this particular one, it's happened more than once, especially after dark, because I don't have Tom kicking my shins underneath the table of, Brian, you're an oversharer and not everyone needs to know these things. But it is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
That's what makes After Dark.
Maybe so. Still, I think maybe one light on might be okay. Yeah, speaking of that first time you were on,
yes.
I am curious. So if you're new to listening or weren't around almost a year ago now, I guess. Last June in 2021, we had every June, Pink Milk always tries to talk to other queer people and celebrate Pride Month and listen to stories similar to what we're doing right now. And you came on After Dark, and that chat room was bombarded with a lot of homophobic stuff. I don't even know how many were really there, but in the moment, it felt like hundreds.
Well, yeah,
and because it was not hundreds.
Yes. Like I'm sure it was probably just like someone who like set up a whole like system just to inundate the chat, but like it was a lot, and like there were a lot of choice words, and it was just a lot of racism, misogyny, and homophobia coming all at once from every direction, and it was like so overwhelming. And it was like, and also I feel like it's like, isn't that the only time that's ever happened on Pink Milk After Dark? Like occasionally we'll get like one or two like here or there, but like I feel like that was the only time it happened in that way.
Yes, and you know, it was like the first weekend of Pride Month. It was very intentional.
So yeah, I hate it. Yeah.
Like it was. I feel like if that happened now, we all know each other and we would.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually very proud of how all of us reacted.
I agree.
But I was so protective. I didn't really know you yet. And here you were, this guest. So and I was like, oh my God. And then I went off because I got like Papa Bear Claus came out. And then like the people that were in the steam room that night got to very much experience my laughter and wiggles and good timesness that I would like to think I am. Don't mistake that for weakness, because I am a daddy and I will protect my little cubs. Or maybe I guess I'm a mama bear. That's how it is, right? And I got very upset. But, you know, we're human when we are layered.
Also, you had every right to be upset. That was wild. Yeah.
What was that like for you? Because this is one of the things that I love about our friendship, because you come in with so much different perspective, and we have shared this on After Dark so many times. I don't know if it's something I'm super proud of myself. And I know Mark feels similarly, that there is a world that we see, a lens in which we look through the world in, that might not be totally accurate anymore for the world as a whole, but it's real for us. And that's something I'm becoming more aware of, being a content creator, being online more than I used to, from generations that are not mine, that are telling me that we are wrong or it's not that, because they don't have those. And, you know, online, which we talk about this stuff all the time too, but online, it's like there seems to be this very hard and fast rule. And things can be nuanced and things can be layered, but that is lost. And I'm still not even good at that part because I feel like I operate Twitter as if you also listen to the show.
Right.
Because I put the podcast first, or the YouTube channel first, and Twitter or TikTok supplement that.
Yes, which makes
But
total sense.
yeah, but that's not the way it works. But I also have come to the point now where I'm like, but that's how it works for me, and that's how I choose to use it.
Right.
And so if I put it all out there. You, on the other hand, grew up in a time where you don't know a world without the internet. In your adulthood, you don't know a world without social media, really, right?
Right. Yeah. Instagram started when I was in high school, which thank God I was on the tail end of high school, because I can't imagine having Instagram like fully through high school. That would have been disaster. Oh
yeah. So I'm curious how that felt for you in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, we've shared these things. I've been out for 20 plus years. Like, I've seen our society drastically change.
Oh yeah.
I have been accosted physically and all of those things. So that stuff was like I said, Papa Bear came out because I was protecting you even more than Mark and Emma. Like, for me, I've been through that before. Right. And it doesn't scare me. I don't get intimidated. Maybe it should, but I don't. Because to me, I'm like, I've been in the physical world with that. Right. So like, I came out and I can be a fighter.
Right.
But for you were just trying to have a good time. You didn't know us either. I mean, not really. You watched us, but we had never really, and we had chatted online or whatever. But that was like our first meeting in a lot of ways. Yes. So what was that like? Have you experienced those kinds of things in the real world? Like, what is it like for a 25, 26, 27-year-old queer person today?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, like in the moment, like when it was happening, I was like really honestly a little bit shook, just because I had just sort of hopped on the internet. I had been around like on YouTube March, April, May, like for maybe 4 months, and as a queer content creator online in a fandom that I knew has like its fair share of homophobia. So it was the first time I really experienced that kind of like attack, like as a content creator. And so it really actually left me a little bit shook. Like, I mean, when we took a pause during the show and I went in, like Blake was in the other room, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, I'm just like so like freaked out, just because it was a new experience, I guess. But when it comes to like real life stuff like that, it's nothing new, and it doesn't really affect me as much in real life. Does that make sense? It affected me more online in that moment because it was the first time. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I experienced a lot of physical bullying and a lot of verbal bullying and everything, and just a lot of that kind of stuff. But it still happens. It's 2020, 2021, 2022. Blake and I were on a date and just got like literally hate crimed out of Walgreens, like right before we went on our date. And it was so wild, because now what happens, I feel, when things like that happen, there's usually an ally in the situation, which makes it a lot different than it used to be, I assume. Because again, like I know I was only born in 1995, but that being said, I have experienced like, homophobia in my day-to-day life. And it has been interesting because when things like that happen now, there's an ally involved, and sometimes it makes it better and sometimes it makes it worse. But when we were at Walgreens, like it was actually iconic. The person who was like, just I'll say rude to us or hateful to us, was like checking out, and the cashier was like heard it happen, and the cashier was like, get the fuck out. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse like on the after dark, but she was like, get out of my store, like we're not you're not checking out, like we're not doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, which was iconic. Like, it was so cool for her to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was awesome. That was like a silver lining, I guess, to a crappy situation. But I don't know, I mean, I think being a queer person right now in 2022 is it's easier, but in some, like, we've never been more in culturally, we've never been more cool, right? It's never been cooler to be queer than it is right now. But we also don't have like a lot of like, I get like, for lack of a better like term, like job security with it, right? Like we haven't been cool long enough to know that we're going to stay cool. We haven't had like certain rights long enough to know we're going to keep having the same rights, on a government level. So I think it's a little bit tricky to navigate in that sense. Yeah, I think it's like it's just odd. I think you never know where you're going to get. It's kind of a crapshoot, but in a good way, in a way that keeps us on our toes. I don't know.
No, I agree 100%. Like, I don't know if, like, there's always an ally online these days, or it feels like it. And people are always, who are not queer themselves, are always like flabbergasted that it happens. I'm like, really?
I know.
Because to me, a Twitter thing or the comments that we got on YouTube that I do leave, I've had that. We don't even need to go down that. I've had that conversation so many times. But to me, that's like nothing than what happened to you at Walgreens. I can think of a time that Tom and I were just going down the grocery store aisle.
Right.
And this woman just walks up to us. Literally, it felt like an SNL skit because all of a sudden she was just there. She was like, pops up and she's like right next to us. I'm like, where the heck did you come from? It was kind of funny and I live for it, even though how terrible it is. But Pinchy Mattercon. And she followed us for like 10 minutes and just said, you know, Mattercon is the F slur in Spanish if you don't know. And I was like, and Tom like had no idea. And I'm just trying like, and I knew because I speak, you know, I'm all right at Spanish.
Yeah.
And I just avoided it for a while. And Tom's trying to have a conversation with her, thinking she's wondering where something is. And I'm like, hey, Tom, don't engage with her. No. She's not nice. And she's like, Brian, like, I'm like, no, Tom, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. You know, anyways. So like stuff like that happens in real life. Yes. I don't care. I mean, of course I care, but like I'm really good at putting up a defensive shield. It has been so long.
Right.
I these days have a harder time when it's in front of my children. That's when I get upset.
Oh my God.
But like that's been this reliving of all of those things for me personally. You know, you brought up, you just mentioned like the government and stuff, and that there's always an ally and we're kind of cool, but it almost sometimes feels like in that coolness, it feels like we've slipped back.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like one of Jack's teachers calls him just Jack. And he finally like went and spoke to her and it's like, hey, I really don't like it. Like Jack is really sensitive and does not like to be the center of attention. Yes. As much as he wants to be the center of attention, he does not.
Right.
Yeah. And Tom and I were talking about it. I'm like, you know, honestly, it's kind of offensive because she started it when she saw he has two dads. And so I'm like, I understand it's her way to try to like, hey, I'm cool with you.
Be one of the, but also no.
But also, I understand the importance of Will and Grace.
Yes.
I respect that. But Jack was also a really harmful stereotype, and I understand that was the only way it was going to happen back then. So I'm not judging or throwing shade on that show because it was a wonderful show. But like, let's move on past that.
Right. And also, let's not just like tokenize a kid who's not even like it's just so wild because it's like it's just one of her students who's like a kid who like, you know, for our understanding, like doesn't even have like doesn't identify anyway, you know, who knows. But like it's just wild that she would put that on him. But I get it. Like listen, it's like Blake and I were walking down the street like really early a little while ago, like a few years ago, and we were walking down the street. It's like 7:00 in the morning. We're just trying to get to work, and this person pulls us, like literally stands right in front of us as we're walking. And I think she was like drunk from the night before, or I don't know what she was. I don't know, but she literally was like, yes, like you guys look amazing. Like just started like kind of like accosting us with compliments. But I mean like accosting us because it was a little bit like too intense for 7:00 in the morning. It was like very compromising our personal space. And she was getting very close and was like kind of like really trying to like, she was just acting like she was like a long lost friend. And we were like literally just like exhausted trying to get to the train station. So it's just one of those things where it's like, they're, you know, I think what we're talking about here is like when queer people, because it's never been cooler to be queer, it also comes with this thing where I think a lot of like dominant culture looks at us and sort of like absolves us to just being entertainment. You know, we're just like fun and cool and like interesting, you know, but I'm like, we're not a science project. We're also not like all drag queens who just want to like get tipped and like be on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we're not like that. And even if we are kings and queens and in betweens. We're not like that 24/7. Like there is more
Mhm.
to us than just the entertainment value. So yeah, it does come with, those pluses and minuses.
Yeah, and it really is. It's a plus and a minus.
Right.
Like
Right.
we talk, we've mentioned I don't want to get mad at those people because
Right.
they're trying to do the right thing. And I also
Right.
don't want to be one of those people who needs to make it an aggressive stance against everything every single time. I'm
Right.
glad those people exist.
Right.
They need to be there. But some of the other kinds of people need to be there too. And it's just this really difficult thing. A few years ago, the Supreme Court was trying to brought up the conversation of whether or not marriage between the Marriage Equality Act, which I still hate that. I hate that expression. Like I hate it. Like I hate it. Is even valid anymore. And like,
Right.
I was really upset. And, I went into my office and I was just down. And, I've brought up my office so many times,
Oof.
but people were
Your
upset
office
with me
does
for
me
not.
nuts, Ryan.
They were upset with me because I wasn't on. And I'm like, hey, I'm doing my best. Do you know, do you know what's going on? Oh, yeah, no, we do. I'm like, but of course, no sympathy. Not that I'm asking for sympathy either, or
Right.
empathy or whatever. I'm not asking for that, but also like have a clue.
Right.
And so finally, like I was not good. And then like throughout, like around, middle of the afternoon, the idea that what if that happened and what happens to my kids? Because for a while, honestly, I didn't even think about being a dad part yet. I was just thinking about my marriage with my husband.
Yeah.
And then it really hit me.
Mm.
And I had to remove myself for a minute. And again, they all say that they're allies. And I don't even know if these people are like intentionally homophobic. I don't think they are.
No, I think it's
really
embedded in
don't
the
think that.
culture.
Yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then I was told I just need to figure it out because it's not going to change anything. I called my mother on the way home because I'm like, in that moment, I needed my mommy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need my mommy.
Yeah.
She said, oh, Brian, I've dealt with Roe versus Wade my whole life. It's not going to happen. I was like, oh my God. Like, I said, Mom, what if it does happen?
Yeah.
What if it does? Tom and I would be fine. But what about our kids?
Yeah. I can't imagine.
Are they going to take them away again?
Yeah.
Well, I just don't think about that. I'm like, of course you don't think about it because you don't have to.
Right.
And that's where like some of that support can stop.
Yeah.
It stops at the entertainment value. It stops at anything that goes beyond a stereotype that they understand that they see in Housewives or the token person on a sitcom or, the fashion advisor on their morning news station or whatever. Once it gets beyond that, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. And because like queerness is in or whatever and has been, more increasingly more in, it has created sort of a complacency by non-queer people where they assume, like, I think people are really quick to forget how recently we've gotten very fundamental rights. And like it creates a complacency where it's like, oh no, like it's just so funny. It's like, it kind of goes back to that thing where people are surprised by homophobia, right? Like non-queer people are surprised by homophobia. They're like, oh my God, really? It's like, I don't even think about gay people like being gay anymore. It's like, they're just people. And I'm like, I love that. And I appreciate that sentiment. But like, first of all, it's not about you and how you see gay people. And more than that, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so funny how quick people are going to be like, oh, I don't even see it like that. It's like, well, it's not about that. It's about people trying to take away our rights. So like, you can remove yourself from the equation and also realize we only got this 10 years ago. And also like, just, kind of go that extra step and put yourself in our shoes. I think people just have gotten complacent and not, again, there are good things to this, right? Because the queerness is more accepted, people have become complacent. So I'm happy queerness is more widely accepted, but it's also frustrating because people like act surprised when queerness is not accepted. But I'm like, no, it's like you guys go online and you're like, yeah, and like you're into it and I love that. But then it's like you guys just go back. Everyone's just like in their own lives, right? So queer people don't really turn off the queerness, or if we do, it's because we have to, So we experience, the actualities to being queer in this world on an everyday basis where other non-queer people don't have to. So that's why they don't know. Yeah. There's nuance. We love it. And we also there's a lot to it.
100%. And even within our own community, that's something that I've experienced this last few years that I don't think I had experienced until I was 18. I remember being 18 years old, walking into the first gay bar that I had ever been in.
Mm-hmm.
I was petrified and also very excited. But I remember this older dude who was 18. He was probably like 35. Let's be real. But this person came up to, and they were like, they could tell. Look, if you've watched After Dark, I would imagine, my face cannot hide anything. It has made me a very honest person because everything is right there. So I'm sure I looked petrified. And he pulled me up to the bar, and I sat there, and he started going over bears and twinks and otters and all of the entire zoo of the queer community. At least I don't know if that exists anywhere outside of gay men. I don't know. My knowledge of the queer community outside of like a gay man is very limited. I will acknowledge that. I'm learning more, but anyways, that's it. That's my world. That's my bubble. And I felt relieved that this person was trying to be really nice, but all of a sudden I was told who I had to be again. I'm like, I just uprooted my life. I'm an 18-year-old kid. I packed everything I own into my car, left my entire life so I could be whoever I wanted to be. And now you're telling me I have to be something else again. And I just remember this feeling. And I don't know if I had those words at that time to put it that way, but that's how I felt. And I was like, oh my God. I weighed 110 pounds back then. I am 5'4". I was on the surface the pure definition of a little twink.
Yeah.
And I was 18. But I don't think I was that. Like, and I remember being told really early, like I had an attitude, I was arrogant, I was intimidating. And I'm like, because I'm not like, hey girl, everywhere I go, like, why did I? And then all of a sudden I learned and I was molded into that for a little bit and it never felt right.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with any of those things.
No.
But it wasn't me and it's still not me.
Right.
And so I got myself through that. Right. And now I have felt again that sometimes from straight people, like I'm not gay enough for them. And then queer people, some of these younger queer people, some of the comments that I get from Pink Milk from other, like I'm not queer enough for you. And I'm putting on an act. And it's so, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I worry about that with social media and my kids personally. I'm like, people don't need, like, what happened to just letting us be who we are? And when we're pointed out for problematic things, hey, that's great. But like,
yeah, we love that.
Just because I'm 5'4" doesn't mean I need to behave a certain sort of way.
100%. Yes. And it's like, I completely know what you're talking about. And it's this weird thing. And I actually went through a very similar sounding experience than what it sounds like you went through with regards to like when I came out. I was like I was probably a little bit scrawnier than I am now, and like just like this, like I don't know, just this young blonde white skinny boy. Do you know what I mean? It was very twink energy, and it was frustrating, but it comes down to like outside of the labels and like identifiers of being queer, being gay, it's like the culture, like literally human culture. Like, well, I shouldn't say human culture. I should say like, united, like the culture within our country, right? Our country's culture is very heteronormative, and like, and so it's one of those things where even when you're in the queer community, there's people will still have, even in like this subsect of a community, the heteronormative tendencies, right? And the heteronormative tendency in the queer community has been I think it's getting less so now, which is really great. But yeah, throughout my life, it's been very black and white. Like there's still a binary within the queer community. And it's just funny because when you first come out, you don't expect that. When you first come out, I guess in our cases, it sounds like from yours and from mine, you expect to just kind of come out and do your thing, or you kind of like I came out and I was like, okay, I'm going to do exactly what I need to do because I have an idea as to what a queer person is. Because I grew up where queerness was more on the table. So I was like, oh, okay. So because I look like this, I'm going to really lean into this and I'm going to be like, oh my God, if you all only knew, I was so cringy when I came out. Oh my God, I was so cringy. I was wearing snapbacks, which is fine. I still wear snapbacks, but like I wore them in a certain type of way where I was like, you know, just like this trying to be this like little mask, little twink where I was like, you know, wearing like all these like weird it's too much.
What's it? Can I ask what a snapback is?
Oh, it's just a hat worn backwards.
Oh.
Yes, it is just a hat worn backwards. But
I now feel shamed for wearing my hats backwards.
No. But what I'm saying, no, I wore it in a way. Listen, I still wear them, but I wore it in a way. Is a way I was wearing it, right? And I was wearing it where I was like, okay, like I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be like this like twink, but I'm also gonna be like mask, and I'm also. But it's like in trying to be all these things and fitting all these molds within the queer community, I became straight, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I became like the straightest gay person in the world, you know, and then I realized I was like, oh wait, everything's more, I like understood the spectrum in a deeper way.
100%. And we also realized at some point in time that we're like, I'm going to be mask girl. And we're like,
yeah. And then you're like,
really not.
And then you hear yourself saying it and you're like, oh wait.
No. Can I ask when you came out, how old you were?
I was 18. So I'm 18, hitting my 10-year anniversary next year.
How? Because I was the same age. I was 18 and just kind of there I was. And I moved. I wasn't confident enough to come out.
Yeah.
So I was really drastic and literally moved to an entire other state. So I didn't have to come out. I just went somewhere and was gay.
For the camp of it all.
And I chose Texas.
Oh.
But, you know, I didn't know any better.
Right.
I was just having a conversation with well, some of it was my father, and now my father and I do not talk anymore, and that relationship completely died. Mm-hmm. It was holding by a thread anyways. So a lot of it came from some of these conversations that we have had, and thank you to the Donald Trump for making certain ideas and people anyways, and Fox News for allowing certain things to become okay to say. And anyhow, my father was going on, and my mother too. I've had different conversations. I can have a better in quotes conversation with my mother than my father.
More constructive. But yeah.
About like kids coming out too early or trans kids being too young. And, you know, we know there's a lot going on. And again, I'm going to take this moment to plug Amidala Helps and that initiative. Go to our Twitter. We'll be doing all the things. Follow Ben is the worst. BYN is the worst on Twitter, and do all those things. And my parents, because they listen to Tucker Carlson, and you know, and then that man knows more about being queer than I do. According to my parents, literally, he's a journalist. He does lots of studying. Like,
no, he literally just comes up with the wildest takes and puts it in because it's entertaining to watch.
Okay, no, it's
not
like
for me, but for other people.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm like, oh, that's right. Thank you, Mom and Dad. Let me go to a straight person to what it's like to be a queer person.
And not just a straight person.
Thank you for that help.
Tucker Carlson.
So anyways, we were talking and I was just like, you know, honestly, I don't totally know how I would respond if, like, let's say one of my children came out and as trans. I don't know exactly how I would handle it because no one knows how they would
until you're handling
that sounds
it,
so like no one knows how they would respond to it.
Yeah.
But I told them, I'm like, I can guarantee you I would believe them and support them because now that I am a parent, a child who is 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, they have no idea what gender is. They have no idea what roles are supposed to be. They have no idea of what society is going to think of them as anything. They are just themselves.
Right.
And I hope to be raising children that would feel comfortable enough saying, hey, this is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so these parents that act like it's somehow pushed by another parent, which is the ugliest, most
It's so
horrific
toxic. Yeah, that's
narrative
awful.
out there. I'm like, no, just trust your children.
Yes.
Just trust them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that's what I would do. How I would help educate them to interact with the outside world, I don't know yet. I don't
Right.
know. And I would not know it until I am presented with those things. And that's,
Right.
you know, but I'm like, this narrative that people like Tucker Carlson are pushing, that people don't know who they are until some magic number, is
No.
so stupid.
Yeah,
I
because
knew I was a queer kid. I didn't have the
Exactly.
language for it. I didn't
Exactly.
know.
Right.
I didn't know what gay was. And when I was growing up, you know, I didn't even have the internet. We had encyclopedias. You know what every encyclopedia book said? Take them to therapy. Make sure they're
Yeah.
not masturbating, because if it's a boy and they're masturbating at 12, they're gay. And you can stop that by not like all these. And like,
Ugh.
of course, I'm not going to tell anybody, because
Yeah.
now I think I'm going to go into a hospital. I think I am sick. I think there's something wrong.
Right.
The AIDS crisis was going on. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die of AIDS.
Right.
All of it. But I knew.
Right.
And the idea that queerness is 100% attached to sex is what I think the problem is. Well, you know,
Huge. Oh yeah.
I think the fact in our country sex is a bad thing is what the ultimate problem for so many things is. I believe that with every fiber of my being.
Yes.
That if we would stop shaming sex, there would be a lot of other things that would start to go away.
Right.
Personally.
Right.
But at 18, you were still going through all of those things.
Yeah.
15 years after I went through those same things. Like, that is so sad.
Yes.
And it goes to what we were talking about for the last 40 minutes of people can talk about how great it is. But look,
no,
that's for a like button on Facebook or Twitter, or to be, in quotes, woke.
Yes.
Right. Pretend that they're those things, but it's really not that way. It is just as hard, if not harder, than it used to be.
Well, yeah, it's like and like the reason like allies are so important is because the culture is still so sick. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, you know, we can have as many allies in the world, but it's like the dominant culture still is like, you know, queerness is bad, transness is bad, you know, but like you said, it's one of those things where you grow up and you know that either like some people like just know they're different, they know they're queer, right? And they don't really have like specifics for that. And some kids are like, oh, I know I identify as this, you know, whether it's transness or queerness. So it's like, why wouldn't you want two parents, one parent, any parental guidance, any sort of like, you know, guardian figure being open and supportive to whatever the kid is going through at all stages of life. You know, it's really not that deep. The kid knows itself. You know what I mean? A kid knows themselves, not itself. A kid knows themselves, you know, so
sometimes they act like an it. It's okay. I understand.
So that's what I'll say about that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because talking to you about this kind of stuff, because as I get older, I even look at high schoolers and I'm like, ugh, they have it so easy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In a way that I feel like maybe someone like you might look at me and assume like, oh, I have it so easy. Which is toxic, because we don't know, you know, and B, we really don't know. I don't think any queer people have it super easy. I think there's some things that are easier to navigate. You know, sex is easier to navigate for me. I'll just say that, you know, growing up, sex is a lot easier to navigate. And I'm sure there's certain like social, I bet you in high school now, it's probably a little bit easier socially to navigate, right? Like, I mean, queer people were pariahs in my high school. I mean, I also went to Catholic school K through 12. So that's a whole other story. But yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's like, we shouldn't be assuming that, because I'm sure there's so much nuance to it. And things that are easier and things that are just as hard, and if not harder, like you said.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I will say for me personally, when I look at younger generations, you excluded, obvi, is I hope I don't think it's easier for other people, because I know that it's not. But what I feel and this isn't even, I don't think when I listen to other people, it's not even exclusively a queer youth thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the privilege that younger generations have. Like when I get other queer people going at me because I'm a cisgendered dude, or which honestly happens a lot as an insult, and I'm not, and that's why pink milk isn't enough because I'm not really that gay.
Right.
I'm like, okay. Or which is just, that's the stuff that's awful. And those are the younger people that I get like not upset with. That's the wrong word, but I'm like, but also upset with.
Yeah.
Like, but you don't understand. I'm so happy that you can even now attack me for not being gay enough.
Right. That
Like,
right. That is
like,
yeah.
I just want to say you're welcome.
Right.
It wasn't me. It was the people before me, but it was also me.
Right.
You know, like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
why are you still telling me, a 22-year-old telling me, a 42-year-old father of 3, how I need to act?
Yeah.
What business do you have coming to me to tell me how I am? That is the one thing this is like, I'm going to sound like that crotchety old man right now, but like, and maybe I was this way too. Maybe this is just being younger, but there is this lack of respect of what came before. Of people sometimes now using language of today against things of the past and not looking at the whole picture of everything going on before and taking that into account. Now, that could act the exact opposite way, because then you have people like my parents who go to Tucker Carlson and tell me what it's like to be a queer person because of that. Or it can be an excuse to not grow forward. Well, back in my day, this is what we did. And that's really unhealthy too.
Yeah.
But I think to meet and to have an actual conversation with people, you have to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
And there is something on the internet that people think everyone is everywhere.
That is very true. I think, there's an assumption that there's even an assumption on Twitter drives me nuts, but like, there's an assumption on Twitter where it's like, if you're on it every day, and there's an assumption that you like keep track of everything. So it's like, as soon as I'm following one person, I'm going to get blocked by another person because that person assumes I like know exactly what's going on. Like, that is toxic. But I would say, like, with regards to like people, maybe like your idea that younger queer people don't understand like the whole picture or don't understand like what came before. I would challenge that and just say, like, I think it's less that and more people are quicker to like weaponize identities against each other. So it has more to do with like the way conversations are had versus the understanding of like the scope of queer history. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that for the most part, I mean, I think it's never, queer people have never been more aware of the trans icons and trans people who have led this movement from the very beginning, right? And then in general, queer people of all kinds that have fought for so long. But I think I think people understand that, but I think maybe even because people know because our own kind knows our story on a deeper level nowadays, I think people might be quicker to like discard other people who weren't like the actual like first people on the front line. Does that make sense? Which isn't cool. I mean, I think it's a weird thing because I think that we learn it from straight people. I think we learn to weaponize our own identities against each other from straight culture because we grew up with our identities weaponized against ourselves. And we grew up doing it to ourselves. We grew up weaponizing ourselves against ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Like literally punishing ourselves for our own identities. So I think, as we get older, it's hard to shake that, but it is, it is very important to call out. There are certain, cis people do have a certain amount of privileges. Even me growing up, cis identifying, grew up with heaps and heaps of privileges with that, right? And not only like in a physical outside sense, but also in an internalized sense. So I think it's important to call each other on things that like needs improvement, a little NI on a report card where it's like, there's like certain like blind spots that we all have because of our privileges that need to be called out. But yeah, the second you're like policing someone's identity and saying you're not this enough, you're not this enough, or because you're this, I'm not listening to you. it's like, I mean, first of all, girl, I don't fucking care. Go off, get your gist, listen to whoever you want to. Like, I don't fucking care that much. It's not the deal. But at the same time, maybe let's not weaponize, queerness. Let's not stop weaponizing queerness. Educate each other with love and respect, but don't weaponize queerness.
Well, that's it. That's it right there. And thank you for saying all that, because that really is articulated so much better than my emotional response to those things. But yes, like 100%, like 100. And also, I also don't care. Right. And the older you get, the less you care. Now, that can be, you always want to remember. And this is what I try to always say. And I try to say this to my own kids. Listen to what needs to be listened to. Mm-hmm. Know yourself and respect yourself enough to know when someone's right about something negative in you, and change those things. And if it is not coming from a place of contribution, then don't pay it any attention.
Right.
And even if they're right, but they're using it to hurt you, I never, ever, ever care. If you are here to help build each other up, then let's listen. But if your intention is to step over me when I'm down, I want nothing to do with you. And I am sorry. And this will be very judgmental. I don't think you're a good person. Like, I don't think you're a good person.
Yeah.
You might be a good person for somebody else, but in me, in my house, the way I live my life, we're not going to be friends. Yeah. We all have moments, obviously, but there really are people out there like that.
Yeah.
That seem to be really open on the internet to be that way. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, this is just scary. And no, I don't know you in real life.
Right.
But every judgment I have on you is based on what you're intentionally tweeting out there. So if that's the personality type that you want to be defined as, then that's how I'm going to judge you for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. People are quick to make an ass out of themselves on Twitter. Twitter's so odd. It's such a weird human experience.
It really, and I also love it. Like, it took me a while to love it, but I kind of love it.
No, me too. I absolutely love Twitter. I think it's an insanely interesting culture study. And I also just think that the community you build on Twitter can be a really gorgeous thing. I love going on Twitter and seeing my homies on Twitter and just seeing what they're doing, even if it's just my friend Will tweeted a picture of his beer and he's reading Light of the Jedi, and I'm like, period. That's such a vibe. You know what I mean? I just love seeing that. I love Twitter, but I also
100%. It's so amazing to me. And again, this is going to speak to my age and also me and how basic I am. But being able to see the internet as anything outside of trying to find out other queer people so I could learn who I was, because there was no queer people anywhere when I was younger, and also for something other than finding sex. It's been this great thing, because forever that's all it was for me. I'm sorry. I went to a music blog, and then who can I find for the evening? That was all the internet was good for. And I'm very excited to oh wait, I can establish relationships on the internet.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I'm a gay dude who's a nerd who loves Star Wars. There are not a lot of me in my general area. So let's find them somewhere else. It's great.
Right.
So one of the things that I'm proud of what we do at Pink Milk. I'm very proud of what you do on That Gay Jedi. And I remember your very first video. I remember Mark and I immediately, because we didn't even really know you yet. You and I had some conversations on Instagram, if I remember correctly. We knew you from the steam room, but we didn't, And I remember Mark and I immediately started texting one another oh my God, I'm so intimidated. This is so good. Oh my God.
Oh, that's very nice.
We need to step up our game. The bitch brought out articles, and then reading articles. I'm like, oh my God. So I love what you do, but
thank you.
It's something, I joke that maybe I get embarrassed that I overshare personally on After Dark, or that we're a Star Wars podcast and we've spent 50 minutes and haven't brought up Star Wars at all on this. But what I've learned is that we have an opportunity to talk about queerness in a way with a group of people that might not normally listen to these things. Outside, I'm going to be honest, and no tea, no shade to our lovely listeners of the show that also have Star Wars podcasts. And I do listen to you, but I don't listen to a lot of Star Wars podcasts. I listen to
Right.
a lot more before Pink Milk was around. And I know this is the story for a lot of other people.
Yes.
And so now I have my friends that I listen to, and I put them in a rotation.
Yes.
I listen to a lot of queer podcasts. That's what I'm interested. Give me a couple true crime things, which I'm really ashamed that I love true crime because I also think it's really horrible to profit off these things.
Right.
But I'm also addicted. So
there's nuance there. You're valid. Yes.
No, it's contradiction and it's not very nuanced and it's really terrible. That's like, let's just be real. But I am. But like what I have learned, and I think you do this so well, and I think it comes very naturally to you, is just to be very honest. And you know what? Pink Milk will never be gigantically big because of the things we talk about. And that's okay. Like, I don't even want to chase that anymore. There may have been a time, even like a year ago, that I wanted to chase some of those things. But I'm not willing to compromise who we are to fit into the larger narrative.
Right.
Because I like that we get deeper, that we talk about other kinds of things. And I think we do a really good job of talking about. I don't even know if I can say we're a Star Wars podcast half the time. We're a queer podcast that happens to talk about queer things through Star Wars. That's almost what we've become. And I love that. And I love that you are taking that gay Jedi and turning that into other things, because I know outside of Star Wars, you also love Stranger Things and the MCU, and you're starting to bring some of those things in. So what is it about those things that you're going to queer up?
I think that's a good question. Well, first of all, like, you know what is so interesting? Like my sort of view on my own content creation has changed in the sense of I'm going to queer it up in the literal sense where I talk about why Stranger Things is inherently a queer story. You know what I mean? And I'll draw a lot of parallels and all that kind of stuff between queerness and Stranger Things. And the same with like Marvel things. But then I think I also learned a little bit about this from you all at Pink Milk, is sometimes just talk about a Stranger Things thing from your point of view as a queer person. Like that is inherently going to be a queering of the thing. So sometimes I don't even have to like work that hard at it. I think I really thought I had to work hard at it to queer something, but literally just a queer person sharing their opinions and their points of view on something is inherently going to queer it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's going to offer a distinct point of view that isn't necessarily consumed by the masses. So I think that's how I'd answer that. I'm just going to queer. I'm going to queer all these things through, actual analyzing and cross-referencing different resources, but also I'm just going to like make stupid videos. And I mean, I use stupid as a compliment, by the way. Like it's just like stupid, dumb videos. I love making dumb content because that's also valuable because it's from a queer perspective, and that's the same with Pink Milk. It's like when we just sit around and talk about Star Wars characters that make us horny, that is important. Like, no, it is, because it really destigmatizes sex. It like does all these like queer things that no one else necessarily is doing. So yeah, it's actually really become one of my favorite things about being a queer content creator, where it's like, like you can do it all, right? You can get really deep and analytical and queer it, or you can just talk about really dumb things that are entertaining, because that is also queer.
It's true. Like, I always feel like I'm like, oh my God, I went too far. Like I said, the last 20 minutes of the Force Awakens conversation, I'm really concerned I went too far. And that's not anything on my beautiful co-host. Also, you said real quick, because I love you, it's not you all at Pink Milk. You are a part of Pink Milk. So you can say we at Pink Milk.
We at Pink
because,
Milk. Thank you.
Yes.
I know I still do that. It's so annoying.
No,
I think it's just that newbie energy.
Yeah, no. And you're not even that new anymore, girl.
No, it's like a year. Get over yourself. It's been a year.
That's not how I meant it.
I wish you did.
But like every time I think I went too far, and that's my Catholic husband in me, I think.
Yeah,
probably.
In you.
Like, and because like I listen to so many queer podcasts, I listen to things about sex because it is important to me. And I also sometimes I'm like, oh God, I'm that stereotypical gay dude who everything's about sex. And I get a little self-conscious about it. But I'm also feel the need to fight against that because there is a lot of the world that only sees me as that.
Right.
And so instead of being ashamed of it, I lean into it. And I listen to a lot of podcasts about that. And I have learned this last couple of years in particular of how to embrace that, because I feel like once I became a father, and now that we have closed our license, I've had time to like sit and chill in being a dad, because before it was always like, oh God, is today going to be and I did not handle this very well. I was like, today's the day that a child's going to come on my door. And I was always like, for 4 years, I was on the edge of my seat every single moment, of every single day of like, I don't know if this is going to happen. And it was a lot. But redefining who I am now again, like, because I'm a dad, but I also still am all these other things, and society tells me I can't be those things because somehow I'm like dirtyifying my family structure. If that, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, I'm reliving all of this again. I'm like, I worked through all of this in my 20s. And now I've got to do it again. And so I have found talking about that even helpful for me. And if it's helpful for me listening to it, I'm like, okay, well, this is how we talk. But anyways, sorry, long story. To get back to, every time I think I go too far, I feel like we get a lot of compliments and a lot of thank yous for going that far, because I always remember to circle back to when you were like, something you learned of not being always so thoughtful and cross-referencing and just being queer is inherently a queer podcast. I've learned over the years too, like that's me speaking to other queer listeners. Because we know our stories. We don't need to hear that stuff. I just want to listen to another queer person talk about something because we're queer together. So I want to hear that. I don't want to hear about your wife. I want to hear about your husband. Unless you're lesbian, I want to hear about your wife. But like that's I want to hear that. And not just straight marriage. I'm sorry, no tea, no shade to straight marriages, but sometimes I just want to listen to gay marriages because I see myself there, right? That's everybody, right? So I learned sometimes some of the stuff, and I do not do it as well as you do with cross-referencing and all that, but some of these other things, I'm like, but straight people, I think, do want and sometimes need to hear some of the things we talk about. Oh, yeah. Like if I can talk about like, this is not after dark, so I'll not go that far. But like, if I can talk about anal sex and talk about being a bottom, and straight people listen, I'm going to hopefully remove some of that shame. Because dudes are dudes and women are women. When we all get together, we're human beings, and everyone loves sex, which is also another reason to stop shaming it, because we all talk about it. Yeah, I've always felt like I can't talk about it because I'm gay. Yeah, and dudes don't want to hear that.
Everyone, yeah.
Let's everyone
be perfectly clear.
Learn to enjoy it. Our straight audience, shoot me a DM. I'll teach you all the things to do, because also be nice to your partner and know the things to do ahead of time. I'll help you through that and just experience it, because it can be a great joy. Anyways, we will end there. But we're going to take a quick breaky break. Perfect. And for a week, and we'll see all of you next week to finish more of this conversation. You've been very, very, very open about your gender identity and the journey of that, and what's happening, and what I'm so grateful for, because honestly, that takes tremendous strength. I am so inspired by you. Thank you. With that, because I know when I talk about the things that I talk about, that it's actually really hard. But to see the bigger picture and to be a person, and for you specifically, which is much harder than what I would have to go through with these things. So I will always respect that and appreciate it. To do that publicly is so selfless, because it can't be easy. And sometimes I just want to be, and I'm speaking for you, sometimes I just want to be like in my own head. But you choose to get outside of your head and share that with other people. And I think it's like, I just think it's really great. And I think that's one of the powerful things that being a content creator can be, you know? Yeah. And especially if you're going to do it through Star Wars, through the MCU, through Stranger Things, let's get beyond like, do you think Matt Reeves should direct a High Republic show? You know, and no tea, no shade to that stuff either. But like,
right. No, it's valid.
Like,
right.
One of the things I love about content creators is when they talk about the morals of like Star Wars. I don't care. I have my own opinions on who Rey Skywalker is. I have my own opinions on what the coolest ship is. I don't need to listen to you talking about it for 45 minutes. Let's talk about why we love Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of us love Star Wars not because of a TIE Fighter T-1 X-Wing twin engine ion cannon. Like, we don't care. Most people don't care. They come back because of the moral lessons that it teaches. So let's talk about those things. Totally. And you do that really, really beautifully. And I'm looking forward to you sharing your own journey through these other shows. And I know the people that listen to That Gay Jedi and listen to you here will enjoy those things too. So real quick, where can people find you to catch up with you all week long until next week?
You can find me on YouTube. I'm That Gay Jedi on YouTube. Also on Twitter at _That Gay Jedi. I also have a queer horror podcast called Fear Queers, and you can find that on like all major podcasting networks.
Boom. Love it. Love it. Love it. And you can also find Chase here every Friday. All right.
Yes.
Let's go take a quick breaky break and we'll be back next week. Right?
Amazing. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Of
course. I'll see you next week. Drink up.
Drink up.
And we're back. Thank you, Chase. That was such a great conversation. I really can't wait for everyone to listen to part 2 next week, where we're going to really get into some heavier conversations that I think a lot of the parents that listen to this podcast can really benefit from. And if Chase wasn't open and vulnerable now, next week, they really open up. So I just really appreciate it. I feel like I got to know Chase even more than I already did, and on a very different level than I did before. So I hope you do too. Remember, if you didn't do so, when I asked at the top of the episode, if you could head on over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave us a review on either or both of those platforms. That would really help us continue to grow even in between Star Wars projects. If you are on or watch YouTube and have not subscribed to our channel there, check that out, because that's where we live stream every Friday. And I really am working at getting some different kinds of content out there for that. And don't forget, you can always follow me and the show at both on both Twitter and TikTok at Serving Pink Milk. Again, can't wait for next week. We've got a few projects coming along, and then my husband and your better host Tom will be back here on the show here in a little bit. But we got some great stuff coming your way in the next few weeks. Chase, love you, adore you, respect you, appreciate you. Thank you again. And all of you listeners, Steam Queens, we love you. And thank you for always supporting us and being here each and every week. And until next week, drink up.